Boom, 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 boom. All right, share. We are live. Whoops, I'm not trying to remove that. What am I doing? It's always quirky because of the stream yard doesn't give proper notifications, I don't think. All right,
Yeah, I think I think they're a little delayed.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm just going to say what's up, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of the Playmaker podcast live. We got some familiar faces from the first episode we kicked off last Monday night. Again, guys, we are going to be live here every single Monday evening at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You out there are always more than welcome to be a part of it. We can even add you in at any time in the show. We can drop the link if you'd like, if you have something to bring up on something we're talking about. We're just going to kick this thing off here. My name is Deafness45. I got a couple of fellas. I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you here. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys know who my Playmaker of the week was. If you guys don't know, you see it on the top of my head. I'm wearing a Braves hat as the Braves advance to the World Series. And you know my boy, former Minnesota Twin, Eddie Rosario, takes the MVP in that series with that big banger of a home run. He's been insane. That's all I can say. This whole series, he's kind of took that team and almost put him on his back. So I just got to say one thing before I turn it over to Brady. Minnesota, stand up. Your boy Eddie got the Braves there, baby. What's up, Brady?
Not much. Yeah, it was crazy. I'm so pumped to see the Braves in the World Series. It's cool to see. I mean, I think it's the entire country versus Houston. I think that's what the series is going to look like. So,
yep.
But Brady Syrek here last week, obviously. My Playmaker of the week is Tom Brady. And I think it's safe to say the greatest quarterback of all time with his 600th touchdown. And the entire debacle that surrounded that. I'm sure we'll get into that later in the show. But just awesome history, and he just seems to be breaking records every single day. So
I love it, man. I love it, man. Nate, what's up, buddy?
What's going on? Everybody, my name's Nate Oots, as you see on screen. My Playmaker is probably the leading offensive rookie of the year candidate right now. Jamar Chase, 8 catches, 201 yards, and 1 touchdown. Huge in the big victory by the Bengals. So now the Bengals are at the top in the AFC North now with Burrow, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase has the most receiving yards by a rookie through the first 7 games. So man's on a tear, and I don't think slow down anytime soon.
Hey, Nate, and one question. Wasn't there an issue? Was he having a problem catching an NFL football before the season started?
Yeah. Like what's he like something like he made like the stripes in the college football or something like
that. There must be some kind of medication he took or something that just all of a sudden corrected that overnight.
Hey.
Balls, what up, baby?
What up? What it do? You guys know me. I'm Balls. My Playmaker of the week is Lonzo Ball. I love to see how he's fitting in with this Bulls team. Triple-double on Friday night. And, I mean, he's doing the things that you don't see on the stat sheet, but, contesting shots, really giving that team some energy. And, I like how he's fitting in so far. So, Lonzo Ball, I'm going to give you the nod.
I love it, baby. I love it. So here's what's going to happen, guys. We're actually going to start out with doing the giveaway. We're going to figure out who gets that $30 PayPal. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to explain it right now. I dropped a video. I tweeted this, and everybody retweeted it. Brady did. Balls did. Nate did. Everybody's been retweeting all this stuff. So we had, I think there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. There was a total of 20 comments, but a lot of that was like me replying or somebody else replying. You only get one entry, obviously. But every single week we're going to do this, guys. One person will win $30, either PayPal or auction credit. It's your choice, whatever you prefer if you win it. But we're going to do this every week. So once this podcast uploads, when it's available tonight, when it's uploaded, drop a topic or a comment. You will be entered into the wheel to figure out if you are going to win $30. You guys, this could be free money. All you have to simply do is drop a comment. This helps this podcast out. This helps us grow. This helps us get out there and get in the algorithm. So we're going to pay it back a little bit and give you a little something to nibble on. So without further ado, I'm going to, 7's my number. So I'm going to shuffle the names 7 times and then we're going to spin it. And it's just whoever it lands on. We're not doing Wheel of Death because we don't have time to do that right now. We got to get through we have a lot to talk about. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to shuffle up the names first, and we're going to spin it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, you guys ready? Whoever it lands on gets $30 PayPal or auction credit. Good luck, guys. Mr. John Doe. John Doe, I know that's your YouTube name. I need you to email me, deafness45@gmail.com, and let me know either your PayPal or if you want auction credit. It's either way, it's cool with me. I'll send it over tonight. Otherwise, if auction credit, we'll just put it on tab, and you can just come in the auctions. I'm having one tomorrow night again. I'll be doing them probably weekly for a while now. Nice. So congratulations on that. Getting to the topics and questions, we are going to save that for the end of every episode. So I have them all up. We'll pull them back up on the screen. We'll go through each and every one of them that's been posted, and we'll cover it, answer it, talk about it, what have you. So, guys, I want to first kind of start out with, obviously the big news right now, what's going on. I kind of touched on it with the playmaker, Eddie Rosario, to open it up. But a couple of us, I think, had Astros and Braves, right? I think maybe majority of us were at least one of those teams for sure. Yeah. We saw on that side. So we're down to 2 teams. We have the Astros and the Braves. And I want you guys to answer. I want you to talk about 2 things with this right now. Okay. Number one, I want to ask you is, do the Astros finally gain that respect from all this cheating and all this stuff before? Or what does it take for them to gain that respect back? And 2, who do you guys see winning the World Series? Brady, I'm going to start with you.
Short answer is no. I don't think there's respect coming back to the Astros until some of those guys leave. I think you look at the face of that franchise right now with Altuve and Correa and some of those guys that were there during the scandal. I don't think the national, narrative around that team is going to be any different whether or not they win a World Series or not. They're in people's minds as cheaters, and they're going to be in people's minds as cheaters until they go somewhere else. And Carlos Correa is a free agent this offseason. If he goes to another team, that organization's obviously going to love them and forgive that player. But as an organization as a whole, I don't see them being forgiven for what happened in the past. In regards to who I think is going to win, I'm going Braves. I'm doubling down on the Braves. I have a note here that, when Ronald Acuna went down, they were 44-44. And from that date on, they were the number 1 offense in the entire National League for the rest of the season. So this offense has stepped up to great levels, and I think that's going to continue. And I think you see guys that are obviously Eddie Rosario and some of those guys, and Freddie Freeman got hot right after I said there's no way that he can go the entire series without hitting. He hit a couple homers. So I just love that team. I think they're playing for a lot, and that's who I want to see win the World Series.
Right on, man. Nate, where you at, brother? So first of all, do the Astros ever gain respect? And second, who wins the World Series, brother?
I agree with Brady. I mean, like I said, until the players that are there, that was on that team, nobody will forgive them. So yeah, I'm just gonna say no on that one. And I see this I'm going back and forth on this because the Braves are kind of like that team of destiny right there. They're kind of like that team that, not many people expect you to make it far in the playoffs, but they just continue to make plays, they continue to pitch well, hit well, and just make those clutch plays when they need to. And now got the Astros they've been good for a while, but are maybe I don't it's just maybe the last year, but make it to the World Series, nobody knows, but I probably gotta go. As this hurts as a Phillies fan, I'm gonna say the Braves are gonna win the World Series.
All right, baby.
And I'm gonna say the Braves are gonna win in 6. Braves in 6.
Okay. So, Balls, before you get to that, I want to touch on Brady and Nate's deal with the whole respect thing. I think we see it with George Springer, right? George Springer went to Toronto this past season. He went to Toronto. he's not getting that grief. He's not getting that whatever. So I think Brady makes a very good point on touching, when they leave, they will. But for now, no. Balls, where are we at on this?
And I don't think Altuve ever will. No matter where he goes, I think because he won that MVP, people are going to look at him a little bit differently. But you know what? Like, you gotta take that. I think about the Patriots when they had all that Spygate stuff. They came out and won titles again, and it was the deflated ball thing.
Motivation.
Yeah, and and I think we're gonna see it. I'm with them, man. Me against the world. Let that team. That's got to be their attitude. Their fans. I mean, go into it and. When you're on the road in Atlanta, that Atlanta crowd's going to be crazy. Oh, yeah. When you get a big hit, let them know. Let them fans know. There should be – it kind of goes back to the Aaron Rodgers thing where he told the Bears fans, I own you.
Yeah.
There should be that competitiveness back and forth, and I want to see that. So I'm taking the Astros. I feel like I'm going to be the only one on this panel taking the Astros, but like I said, I love that lineup. I love that mentality, and it's got to be taken. They've got to take respect. They're not going to earn it. The only way you're going to get it is you're going to take it, and that's by winning a title.
And you think they can still beat these Braves without McCullers, huh?
Yeah. I felt that the last series, even as they kind of – that series was rocky at times. There were some close games. I felt that the whole time, though. It's one of those things when you're the bad guy, it sells, and you bleed in. You believe in that. You take part ownership in that nobody believes in us. It's time for us to do it. So yeah, I'm still on them, man. Still the Astros.
All right. So yeah, I'm gonna roll. I think I'm pretty much with the same on you guys as far as players themselves. I think if they split up or they go to different teams, they become free agents. Brady kind of touched on some of that. I don't think that follows them around as much. And, like I said, I think last week it's not let's go Brandon. It's let's go Eddie. Go Braves, baby. Win it all. All right. So before we jump into the NBA, or if there's anything else you guys want to add on baseball, I mean, we're pretty much down to 2 teams. We're pretty much down to the World Series. There's not a lot else to talk about. We talked about Eddie rocking it. We talking about the Astros, the respect to them. Do you want to touch on college football first, or you guys want to pop into the NBA? Brady, you kind of lead the college football thing here for us. Okay? You brought this up last week, so we do have to talk about it. So
yeah, let's jump into it. Game of the week is pretty obvious. It's Michigan State, number 6 in the country versus number 8 in the country. It's going to be in East Lansing. That's really the biggest game this week. There's a chance for Ohio State, Penn State to be a big game, but Penn State just looked bad. They lost again last week. And so I think the Michigan State game has got college football playoff implications. The team that loses there also has to go play Penn State and Ohio State. So if you lose the game on Saturday, you got a long road to get back to the playoffs. So, I think the game in general is going to be very interesting. It's going to come down to a couple things. Is Michigan's run game enough to have them win a ball game? I think they're top 10 in the country in rushing right now, and they haven't had any explosiveness in the passing game. It's been very one-dimensional. When they do throw the ball, it's all 10 yards and under. And it's going to come down to, can Cade McNamara, Michigan's quarterback, really stretch the field on a Michigan State defense that is playing well? And if he can do so, it's going to open up a lot of things for that team. But I think that's the biggest thing that we haven't seen yet. And obviously you see in the background the Michigan banner up there. So I'm a pretty big Michigan fan, but I just haven't seen it from him this year. And it's given me a lot of concern that when we start playing these big dogs in the Big Ten and the Big Ten East, I'm not sure he's got it in the tank. And so I guess Saturday we'll figure it out. We'll kind of see what each of these teams are made of, because both of these teams have not really played anybody yet. It's their first big game of the season. So
I want to touch on a little bit the number. I think they're still ranked number 3 as of right now. I don't know why they should be, right? Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma University.
Yep.
I tell you what, we're talking. DFS is a part of this podcast. As us being one of the only hobby DFS and sports podcasts all put in one. And I played Mr. Williams this weekend, and boy, he was just giving me a heart attack whole first half, I think he had maybe 0.1 points or something. I thought maybe he wasn't going to play anymore. I thought they were going to go back to the other kid that just kept wetting the bed. But man, what's up? Are they really a number 3 ranked team in the nation?
Yeah,
I mean, or is this just something that's a fluke?
I mean, shoot, to me, I think it's a fluke. I mean, because like, look, Kansas, they was up like 14 at one point. Because like I was watching the game, I saw Kansas score. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, Oklahoma's gonna score like 20 in a row, but no, they just kept shutting them out. And then I guess Oklahoma finally woke up in the second half and barely, I guess won the game. But I know like last week college football was crazy because I know Cincinnati was struggling with Navy. Oklahoma was struggling with Kansas.
Yeah, what was up with Ford, dude? Ford is another guy that was in my lineup, and he was giving me a heart attack. He was a snowflake all over the place on DraftKings. You know what a snowflake is? That means you're trash. You're trash. You played like trash.
I personally don't think Oklahoma's that good. No. And you know, I mean, let's not forget Spencer Rattler was talking about Heisman Trophy, and he's gotten benched halfway through the season. So there's issues on that offense. There's issues at quarterback, and they haven't really played anybody yet. I mean, 1-5 Kansas, and they were down for a lot of that game.
Yep.
I'm not sure who exactly they play. They play a good team this week. I'd have to look exactly who it is, but they also have a matchup coming up against Oklahoma State at the end of the year. They're a tough team. I think they're going to get beat at some point. It's just what game it's going to be. I think the big ones, obviously, Georgia is head and tails above everybody else in the country.
Oh, yeah.
Cincinnati, they won their big game. They don't really have any huge games left. So, it'll be interesting to see if an undefeated Cincinnati gets in, assuming they do. So, it's going to be a team from the Big Ten, and if Oklahoma can stay in it, that'll be the college football playoff, I think, going forward.
So I got a question for you, Brady, in the terms of college football. I don't know how much you've seen. I mean, I get to pretty much see the Gophers just about every week. University of Minnesota, they a couple years ago, I think, got ranked up to like 4 or 2 for like a quick second. They played Ohio State. They got spanked, and then they kind of dropped. But it seems we had one of the best running backs in the nation. He got hurt, right? Ibram or whatever his name was. Then Potts goes in, and Potts just dominates, right? It seems like no matter what running back they put back there, the offensive line for the Gophers is amazing, is just awesome. What are they missing? What are the Gophers missing to get them into like being a top 25 team? Because it seems like they can plug any running back in there. It doesn't matter who it is. And he dominates. He has a great game. Like, their offensive line is strong. But is it just everything else? Is there no defense? Is there no defensive presence? I get it. Tanner is not the greatest quarterback. We keep just hanging on to him, letting him play it out. But, we have decent receivers. Autumn Bell, like every year, Bateman came from here. Tyler Johnson, now NFL receivers. We're bringing out some grade A NFL talent as far as receivers and stuff. Balls, you got something to touch on, or you got a comment about it?
Well, and just kind of thinking myself here, just in terms of recruiting, you're looking at Ohio State and Michigan in the Big Ten. So they're going to take the best players from your state more than likely, if they want to go play in a program right now that is going to compete for a national title. So it depends. I think about it like, one of the questions, and I was going to maybe write it in this week in those questions afterwards, but, for college football, what's a more attractive landing spot right now, LSU or UCLA? One of those, because UCLA is going to be open, LSU is going to be open, LSU's the SEC. I just think it kind of depends where you can recruit from, and they've got good players, but then it's different when you lose if you lose your number one running back and you take a step back to your second running back. But it's different than when you go against a team like Ohio State, when they lose their second running back, their third string running back's a 5-star recruit. Their fourth string running back's a 5-star recruit. Right. There's no drop off in talent in those teams. Experience, yes, but after a while, a team like Minnesota, you're not going to have as many 5-star talented recruits. You're just not going to have the depth. And I think recruiting is probably my main thing that I look at. That's the reason why they can't compete on that high level there.
Gotcha.
Well, depthness. Let's also look. I mean, so I think the biggest thing for them is obviously the Bowling Green game. You know, I didn't watch the game much. I kind of paid attention to it a little bit, and just no offense in that game. But other than that, it's a 45-31 loss against Ohio State, and they're undefeated outside of those two games. So it's not like they're bad. It's not like they're a bad football team. I think if you look at that Bowling Green game, opposite of that, they're 6-1 with a loss to Ohio State. They're a top 25 football team.
Right.
And I don't remember exactly. Was that the game where he got hurt? Was that the Bowling Green game? Or was it really? So it's one of those things where that's a big in-game adjustment. So I think that your question was how much does it take for them to be a top 25 football team? Not much. They win a couple more games throughout this year. They're probably close to the top 5. It's going to take a lot more for them. And I think you see that on the recruiting side for them to be competing in the Big Ten. And obviously that's the next step for a program. But
well, and like these running backs that keep jumping in at injury after injury, right? Ibram, then Potts, and then I forget what the kid this week's name was, but he's like from Florida. He's like a lot of these guys are. I mean, some of these top tier receivers that have now went to the NFL, like Tyler Johnson and Bateman. To the Bucks, he wins a championship. To the Ravens, he's in a good spot with a good team, highly recruited to the NFL. I mean, they're getting talent outside of Minnesota, some of the southern states where, the programs are way different. Like that's another thing we could really dive into and look into. We don't really have to do it today, but I'm telling you, like down south, you see the talent from these kids, and it all starts because it's year round, at a very young age, right? Whereas like here, I even remember like me as playing like football, like starting from like pee-wees up through like middle school before you actually start playing for the schools, like the middle school and high school, like up to 6th grade or whatever, through the associations, through the city or whatever. It's only a 2-month stint or a 3-month stint. Down south, like my nephew, he's 12 now? I mean, he plays sports. They have them pretty much in things like doing things season long. It may not be like they're playing all year, but they have them in like different fitness things. They have them doing different things. Like they can't be doing a ton of working out when they're that young. But once they hit that age in high school where you can start like working out, kind of like when you go to gyms. If you go to a gym right now, right, and the kid's not 13 or older, they technically can't be in the weight room, right, because it's going to stunt growth. It's not good for them. It's not good for bone development, etc. Once they hit that age and they start hitting that, puberty growth stage, you start, but that's down south. That's really how they do it, man. They're just like nutso, like 24/7. Like they have the kids that are really serious about it. They have them in that 12 months a year. It's not just in season. It's a year round thing for them. And I think that's where you see this high level talent from these kids that come out of the South. I mean, you just think a bunch of college football players that are recruited out of the South. These guys are just beasts, man. They're monsters. So
I think two things. First of all, the running back point that you were making about these guys stepping in, I think that's a general trend we're seeing across football in general, college and pro. The running back position is just not as coveted, and it's a lot of next guy up mentality. You saw it, last week with the guy from Cleveland. Chubb and Hunt both out.
But again, they do have a solid offensive line.
Correct.
So again, that's what I'm saying. Like you can't just do it with any team, because if a team doesn't have a solid line, they're going to get spanked, right? They're not going to do anything. They're not going to rush anywhere. If they're not creating holes or anything for them, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think you do have a good point about the year-round football, though, and I think that's a reason. For example, Mel Tucker, the coach of the Michigan State Spartans, was, potentially going to LSU, and he's got his team 8th in the country and 7-0 in the Big Ten. Why is he interested in LSU? It's the South. It's the SEC. Mm-hmm. It's a different brand. It's a different level of football. And it's just something that you can't get up here in the Big Ten, and you can't get up in some of the ACC and some of those conferences. So, I think you have
but then we say that, right? But then we got like Ohio State, who is always a dominant football team. Big Ten, right?
It's one team. It's been one team for a decade in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah. But Michigan's been kind of the last few years. They're starting to be more of a prominent
Harbaugh still can't win big games. I was looking at his record the other
Well,
day.
he's got to stop wearing khakis, bro. It's the
He's
khakis.
done.
He loves the khakis.
Yeah, it's. We'll see. I'm kind of settling in at like a 10-3 or 10-2, 9-3 record this year. That's kind of what I'm settling for, which is sad because I think they have the potential to win more games, but I don't see him being Ohio State again. It's just, that's how I'm programmed at this point. It's my entire life. Right?
You guys want to touch on anything else? And is there anything else you guys really want to touch on college football, or should we move on and roll on into the NBA?
No, we can go to the NBA.
Yeah.
Okay. So NBA season obviously started this last week. Again, it's very, very, very early. I think a lot of us touched on we like the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls are obviously off to a 3-0 start. We got a couple people in here that are really excited and happy about that for a good reason. I'm actually shocked as well, even to see. And again, it's only 2 games. My Timberwolves are 2-0. I'm surprised they've won a game already. But again, we got to see who they played. We got to really look at it all around. But it looks like there's a little more gel with Anthony Edwards and Cat and D. Russ. And you got to remember with my Wolves last year too. Since D'Lo's been with the Wolves until the start of this season, Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell, I think, only played 2 games together in a season and a half. One was either hurt or the other one was hurt. So you got your 2 superstars. You're just bringing in your rookie, Anthony Edwards. It's hard. How can you? One of your superstars is constantly on the bench. Like, how do you grow? How do you advance? How do you learn to gel? How do you play together? I mean, again, yeah, you're next man up. But when most teams have a few superstars, so one goes down, maybe they have 2 still out in the court. You don't really have that. Anthony Edwards, you could say maybe, but still, as a rookie last year, you can't really give him that title. He played great. Could have been rookie of the year. I don't know. But what's the biggest surprise so far? First question for you guys of the NBA is, what's the biggest surprise so far that you've seen in the start of the NBA season? Brady, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go with how bad the Los Angeles Lakers are. I'm surprised that team's that bad.
Glad you started with that.
And it's interesting because you look at that team on paper, and it's one of those things where you looked at it before the season's on paper, and you're like, this team's going to win, 50 games, make the playoffs.
Right.
And you see Dwight Howard and fighting on the bench, and they're 0-2. I think they wind up winning last night. I guess I didn't really end up seeing what the final score of that game was.
No, they're still. I think they're 1-2, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think they won last night, but just so much dysfunction. They looked bad the first 2 games that I was watching. So I guess that would be my biggest surprise. I'm a little surprised the Bulls are 3-0, just because I'm excited and I'm pessimistic a little bit with them. But
right,
I'd say the biggest one is how bad the Lakers have been.
So I want to talk before you guys move on and before I get your guys' answers. I want to kind of touch on that Laker topic. Russell Westbrook. He's a guy that I could talk about for an hour about who is, I mean, some people look at him as an elite player. Some would say, how could he not be because he triple doubles all the time? But I'm going to tell you that I don't honestly feel like Russell Westbrook is an answer for the Lakers to win a championship. And I honestly don't feel like Russell Westbrook is the answer for any team. I don't care how that team is built for Westbrook to win a championship. I think they claim he's somewhat unselfish on the court, but I beg to differ with that, as he's constantly got to be like gobbling up rebounds and doing whatever he can to try to fill a stat line. He's not as concerned about sharing the ball and sharing it and letting it go around and letting the floor flow. He's more concerned about where he can get in and get those peripherals and get those stats to build up his stat line for the night. Do you guys think I'm crazy to feel like Westbrook is maybe not a guy that could probably ever win a championship? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't think you're crazy saying that. I mean, there's a lot of sports hosts that agree with you. They pretty much say like he either worry about too much about stats or this and that. But yeah, Westbrook, he's really what the Lakers don't need, because he's a ball dominant guard that can't really shoot. And we got a team with pretty much like LeBron is the main guy, then you need to surround him with shooters. So you need to have more guys that can shoot the ball or they can play all ball that don't need the ball in the hands constantly, which Westbrook needs. So that's pretty much like the biggest thing. But and then also like the Lakers, I don't know. This roster is like 5 to 10 years too late because Dwight Howard's older, Carmelo's older, LeBron's older, Russ is older. So
And now they're fighting on the bench.
yeah,
AD and Howard were going at it.
Yeah, to put a shove on the bench. So I'm like, like I said, it's early in the season, so they might be able to get over it. But yeah, it's not looking pretty.
And I remember when KD, they interviewed KD and they asked him like what his top 5 favorite players to play with were, and everybody made a big deal because he left Russ off for Serge Ibaka at the time, and everybody was like, yeah, he's played with great players, but he put Serge. And I know some people don't like KD as a player as well and how he fits like a team dynamic. But I don't hear that from like Steph Curry, who's one of the best in the game. You didn't hear that from Draymond. You didn't hear that really. They may have had their competitive, disagreements at the time, but
right.
I haven't heard a bad word out of them where it does seem like, that's kind of the rap around Russ when no matter where he's kind of gone, it's been that. So, it's hard to say he won't win a title because of the team he's on. AD and LeBron together could carry that team to a title if they really had to. I don't know if that's going to happen.
I mean, I think guys like Malik Monk and them that they added bring more value to that Laker team than Russell Westbrook. Like, I could be wrong here.
Yeah, they just got to.
Is Bazemore in LA too?
Yes.
Or is he in Golden State?
Wait, I think
Kip Bazemore? Did he go to LA? Or is he in Golden State? Am I tripping? It's another shooter.
I agree with you there. Like they just got to find his role on that team and
so
where.
Fester made up a good point. He I posted up there a second ago. Lakers need to bring Russ off the bench. He needs to be the second unit player. That would make more sense. I could see that helping that team out a little bit more. But then again, is Westbrook as being probably the top playmaker on that second unit? Is he going to be Is he going to be selfish, or is he going to be unselfish? And is he going to give up those spot shooting shots for Malik Monk and Bazemore if Bazemore's on that team and others? Or is he going to continue to try to drive the whole like a madman sometimes and just miss an easy layup? Like he tries to exert himself. Like I don't know what it is with the guy. Like the guy has to like always overdo everything, right? Did you ever watch him like try to drive to a hole? It's like he's like.
Yeah, like do.
And then he just puts up this layup, and then he just misses it. Yep. And it's like the easiest shot ever, and he misses it. But then he gets his own rebound, so he builds up his stats, right? And then you look at his stats, and then you see he has 10 turnovers as well. He did a quadruple or whatever it is, a quaddy on the stats. He got the triple-double with 10 turnovers. Way to go, Russ. That's not how you win games, brother. Turnovers kill you, man. I mean, Harden does it, but, he does 6 or so, but at least he'll give up the ball. I don't know, man. Anyway, all right, let's move on. We talked about Russ long enough, I think. Nate, what's your surprises so far the NBA season? What do you like? What's your takeaways from week 1?
I got my surprises. First one will probably be the Hornets. The Hornets are 3-0 right now. Playing good ball. LaMelo seems more comfortable with offense.
Topic. Hornets are another great topic.
Miles Bridges been scoring on basketball. Gordon Hayward's been playing solid. I know the guy with Mason Plumlee on the team. He's fit pretty well. It's big. So, like, they one surprise, and then like another surprise I probably have is the Warriors. Actually, the Warriors still out Clay. So pretty much Steph Curry, and then you still got Wiggins there. Draymond's healthy. He's playing this point forward role, playing defense, setting screens, passing the ball around. Jordan Poole has been phenomenal for them as well. So, yeah, I'm about to say, like the Hornets and the Warriors are definitely my 2 surprises earlier on in the season.
So I want to touch on the Hornets before we go to balls. I love it because Brady and Nate so far are hitting it right on the nose on things that I wanted to talk about anyway with the NBA. So if you pull up LaMelo's minutes, the first 3 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're doing great, but if you pull up his minutes, and this is a little DFS thing too as well for those, because I have him on my season-long team. I kept him this season because I drafted him in the 7th round last year. and I play him a lot in DFS nightly, but he's kind of burning it. He's putting up the numbers, but he's not playing his 32 to 34, 36 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's 25 and 28. It's like 25, 28, and 25 minutes or something. And there's a lot of question marks to that. But apparently, the coach after the first game kind of came out and said, yeah, you're right. We kind of missed it on not getting him out there more and playing the minutes. Like, that was kind of my bad. But then out of one of the other games, apparently the coach was like telling him to get up. And he said, no. He said, this unit's playing great together. Like, they're getting us that they're playing great. Let them play out there. I'm not going out on the floor. Like, he didn't say, hey, I'm not going to play. Like, screw you, coach. He was saying, as like a teammate and as a whatever, and like what he saw, he's like, they're gelling out there right now. They're playing great together right now. Let them play. So some of that is that's the unselfishness, right? So now you're getting that unselfishness that Westbrook, I don't feel, really brings to a team. So it's kind of interesting to see that as him being young and kind of wanting to be being that star and being center stage, to kind of stepping back and already growing a little bit in the NBA and saying, hey, these guys are playing great. They're maintaining or they're gaining us a lead. I'm not going to go out. It's my time to go out. I'm going to stand back and let them play. So kind of interesting. Just kind of wanted to throw that in there real quick on the Hornets side. So, but yeah, they're off to a great start. Balls, what do you got for the NBA?
Mine would be one. I think the whole like LeBron hustle thing is kind of way overblown right now. So early in the season, obviously, long season. LeBron really just matters when it comes playoff time. They just got to get in.
Oh yeah.
But I watched him the other night, and I like that Phoenix Suns team. They don't get enough credit because they're on the West Coast. They're not really televised too much.
Right.
But that team's a pretty good team out there. So, I haven't seen too much NBA. I've watched a lot of Bulls. I'll have more opinion. It's still way too early.
Yeah, I know it's early,
and,
but we
and the guys. You guys have hit on the main topics, I think. So, I think the LeBron stuff's overblown big time right now. It's just typical LeBron hate.
Okay. Anything else to add in the NBA before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I guess another team could bring up that's because they kind of been struggling out the gates early is the Brooklyn Nets. So you got no Kyrie playing yet with the whole vaccination thing with him. So he's out away from the team. But yeah, they're 1-2, and to be honest, they should be 0-3 if the Sixers didn't blow the like last 5 minutes of the game. But yeah, so the Nets have been struggling early about Kyrie and I guess KD and Harden try to figure out all the things. So
right,
yeah, that's one. Things like I think they're gonna obviously turn things around and be more consistent winning. But yeah, that's
right.
one interesting storyline beginning of the season.
Yep. Yeah, right on, man. Yeah, so again, I'm excited. Obviously the DFS is kicking in. I haven't personally done that great. I haven't been playing heavy. I'm just trying to get my feet wet again, kind of get in the season. You go from preseason play, which you do great in. And then you go to, it's back to like the actual starters and trying to figure out minutes. And, it's touched on the Brooklyn Nets on a DFS side for just a second, as we want to try to throw in some DFS whenever we can too. Brooklyn Nets, that front court they're kind of hard to figure out. Claxton, how many minutes is he going to get? He's always cheap. He's almost a punt play every night. And there's some nights where he might get that 24, 26, 28 minute mark. But then there's other nights where you might get burned and he might get 12 or 14 and pretty much put up nothing. So you got to really look at who they're playing, how you think the team's going to spread that floor, if they're going to play big or play small, and if they're going to need Claxton or not. So just something else to think about there. And we're going to roll into the NFL. We have a lot to talk about the NFL. And then, like I told you guys, after we're done with this, we're going to go through all the topics and questions, and we're going to touch on every single one that was left. Again, guys, John Doe won the $30 PayPal or auction credit for the first week. Once this podcast goes up, leave a question or a comment. We will draw again at the beginning of next week's episode. Whoever wins, it's your choice. So a couple things. We forgot to do our prediction for the Monday night game.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what the score is. I haven't even been paying attention. But
7-0 Seattle. DK Metcalf touchdown.
So I'm going to say, are they in Seattle or New Orleans?
In Seattle.
I'm going to take the Saints to win this one. gonna take Winston to come back here second half, and him and Callaway to get something going, and Kamara to light up a little bit. Who do you guys got before we move on?
You can't make me trust Geno Smith.
There you go. Saints.
Yeah.
Who that? Nate, who you got, brother?
Man,
Seahawks or Saints?
I go Saints. Yeah, it is that like Geno Smith just finds a way to lose a game. Like it could be an interception. It was a fumble. I think last week. It's like, yeah, I gotta go Saints.
All right, Balls.
Yeah, give me Alvin Kamara.
Saints. Well, I think we're all in agreement here. That's interesting, even with the Seahawks having a lead. But
we were all in agreement. We were all in agreement last week, and we saw that.
Yeah, right, exactly. So one thing I do want to touch on before we really dive into everything that happened in the NFL this week, and there's a lot to talk about, a lot of topics and a lot of things that kind of went on and happened. I want to throw another little DFS niblet in there. I was talking with Paul Olson, former community member. He had a great week one in the NFL, and he's really been struggling the last few weeks. And I struggled this last week. And one of the things that I want to bring up to you guys is there's a lot of different factors in DFS and building lineups, and especially in football. But he was telling me how he just would keep looking at like the previous game logs for the season or how players did. And that's a big mistake, and that's a big mistake in any sport that you play because every week is different. You have a different matchup. Oh, yeah. There is guys like, especially NBA, NFL's the same way. Like if it's a running back, how many linemen were out? If he did terrible, and what defense did they play against? Were some of the missing linemen out that make that line go? I mean, are they now out? So now you don't want to play this guy against a really good rushing defense. You know, what corners are going to be shadowing these receivers majority of the time? You know, the quarterback, you know, there's a lot of factors. Do not game log. Game logging is the worst thing you can do. I pull it up when we're going through and building just to show you guys every once in a while a player, like where he's been or how he's done for the season. But that should never be your deciding factor on playing a player ever. Don't ever do that. That's the worst decision you could make because you're going to get burned. You're going to get burned bad. And one more thing to touch on NBA, if you play NBA DFS, you have to be able to pay attention to the last half hour before lock and follow the news. Because if you do not, again, you're going to get burned. Somebody's going to get called out last second, 5 minutes before a lock. That's going to change the whole slate. You know, Jaylen Brown's going to be ruled out with no word of it 5 minutes before the game starts. That makes Tatum like a solid top play no matter who they're playing with Jaylen Brown off the court. Like there's things like that you have to pay attention to that really change how you construct and how you build any lineup. And with the NFL, don't do that. Do not game log. You can kind of look to whatever, but that doesn't tell you how the next week's going to fare. That's you're fooling yourself. You're going to get burned. You're going to waste a lot of money doing it that way. So please, please, please do not. Huddle, what up, brother? You got to join us one of these nights. E-Rock, what up, brother? Anybody can join us anytime, too, guys, any week. Let me know. If someone wants to join us next week, let us know. So let's just get right into it, guys. NFL time. We're going to do NFL, and then we're going to touch on everybody's questions, topics they left last week's podcast. Let's just dive right into the big thing, right? Patrick Mahomes. What's Patty Mahomes' nickname? The nickname, what did they give him? The kid? What was the actual nickname they gave him? But what's his? You know, we got to figure out his middle name because we got to say his full name when we're talking like this with what's going on with the Chiefs right now. The Chiefs, guys, the struggles. Patrick Mahomes, what's going on? The Titans just dominated them, and they did it without really much of Derrick Henry. Yes, Derrick Henry threw a touchdown pass. I know that. He rushed for 80 yards. He didn't rush for 200 yards like he did every other team this year. He didn't really dominate that game. It was a pass-heavy game from the Titans. Are the Titans the team, and what's up with Patty Mahomes? Balls, let's start your way this time and go around the other way.
So, you know, looking at it, even, you know, you talk about like from a DFS look right now, the big thing a lot of teams have started to do against this Kansas City team is play a lot of cover two. And in a cover two scheme, not to get too technical, but your main thing is you're playing two safeties over the top, nothing deep. So what we're running into is that offensive line consistently can't string together, series. Either they have penalties or they're giving up pressure that is disrupting plays. You can look at their defense. I know there's a lot of talk about their defense. And maybe Mahomes is trying to do a little too much. Maybe he needs to take the easy play once in a while. He gets a lot of credit for those no-look passes, but just a simple pass works the same. I get how it sets things up for you. And I get how that kind of sounds like old man, get off my porch, but he definitely is in a streak right now, a tough spot. Tyreek Hill, not 100%. Teams have really just been able to take away that big flashy play, and that's what the Chiefs were good at. Is your offensive line, it's different protecting when you're down in a game. You've got to worry about protecting against the pass rush, where once you're ahead and you can run the ball, then you can actually, take advantage of wearing on a team a little bit and controlling the clock. And I still think that defense needs to be opportunistic. They got to help them with short fields. They got to cause a turnover here and there. They're not helping that team. And that turnover margin, we pointed at it last week. It's one of the worst.
You got the numbers right now, or do you remember, Brady, what you were?
They were -8, which was second worst in the NFL. And I'm looking here at the stats for this week, and Patty threw another interception. I think they were 1-1 this week. So
he had 2 fumbles, I think, too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's in a rough spot right now. There's, he's still a young quarterback. It's gonna happen. I'm not. It's one of those things that I think they've always had that opportunity to make the big play and get back into games. And now that those aren't happening, they're being tested. But I think they'll start to find ways to win.
I'm going to say this real quick before we get to Nate, just on the Brady thing with the DFS side of things. I was heavy on Patty Mahomes this week, and I've said it the last 2 weeks, but I wasn't as heavy on Patty as I was this week because I truly trusted and thought that this was a week that he was going to come out and make a statement playing the Tennessee Titans. Yep. And look what happened, man. He got burned. I mean, I got burned by him too bad. But Nate, man, what's the thoughts, man? What's going on here?
So, I mean, it just looks like Mahomes is literally trying to do too much with the football. I'm not sure it's because the defense is like it's going to probably give up at least 30 points in the game, or like I said, the offensive line. I know they traded for Orlando Brown before the season. I think they signed somebody else, so they kind of changed up their offensive line, but he still had to get out of pocket quick. He trying to make so many plays down the field, but he's got to just take those those 5-yard throws, like a quick out route, or maybe throw to your running back. And I saw the comment that said they can't run the ball, and that's true too, because Edwards-Helaire, he's been hurt, but when he was in the game, they didn't get much going on. They got Darrell Williams, he hasn't really done much either, so that's another thing. We can't run the ball. You got to really focus on throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game. You're going bound to make mistakes, so that's another thing. And then with the Titans potentially being the best team in the AFC, the AFC is wide open because you got the Bills, you got the Titans, the Ravens, the Bengals.
I kind of forgot about the Bills this week just because they were on a bye.
Yeah, but you got the Bills, you got the Ravens, you got the Bengals, or the Chargers still out there with Herbert. So, yeah, the AFC is so wide open. It feels like each week is like a new team comes up because beginning of the season it was kind of like, oh, this is maybe the Chargers, and then it was the Bills because the Bills got a couple of wins, and then it was like,
did the Titans beat the Bills?
They did. Yep.
Man, that's why I'm saying that. But that's why I bring this question up, because if I was personally to think of another AFC team right now after the Chiefs are just falling through their pants,
yep,
I would think it would be the Bills, but the Titans beat the Bills.
Yep.
Was there any key pieces missing during that game? And then Brady, you're going to be up next on the whole Chiefs, Patty, and all that stuff.
No.
I think everybody was there, right? Was anybody
Yeah.
really out on the Chiefs side that week? Like any big name that they could be like, well, we didn't have him. We didn't have Kells, or we didn't have Hill, or we didn't have so-and-so.
I think they had right on the offense. They might be missing maybe a few people on defense, but I think because did Frank Clark play? Like Frank Clark or
I'm not sure.
Jones?
We'd have to pull up. I don't remember the game, but I just remember the Titans. I figured they beat the Bills. All right, Brady, what's up, buddy? Talk to me, man.
I think somebody mentioned in the comments that they can't run the ball, and they don't even try anymore, right? I mean, I'm looking at the stats right here. Tyreek Hill had a 1 rush, and Williams, the running back, had 5 carries for 20 yards. That's 6 rushes in the game. And now, Mahomes scrambled a couple times. How easy is it as a defensive lineman to know every single play? You put your head down and go get the quarterback.
Yep.
That's why. And so, Balls, you were right. It was 3 turnovers to 1. So obviously they lost another turnover battle in a big game. But you just talk about it. How easy is it? 4 sacks against Patty Mahomes. And it's not hard for a defense to know every single time that the ball is snapped, it's going to be a pass. And it's going to, just go get the quarterback. So it's just such a one-dimensional team right now. And I think part of that is Patty Mahomes obviously is pressing. They're down 27-0 at halftime. So, it was a 3-0 game in the second half. So he's obviously pressing, but I just don't understand how that team has no running ability at all. And I understand they lost Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's a piece that they lost that they, haven't been able to have the past couple of weeks. But we talk about that defense giving up a lot of points, but that offense is so one-dimensional. And if you have a team that plays, like Ball said, cover 2 and can rush the quarterback every play, in the NFL, you just can't beat teams like that. And you can beat bad teams like that. You can't beat good teams like that.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, like I don't know. I'm going to say it one more time. I just felt like if Patty Mahomes, and again, it's still early, right? Ball says they're going to find ways to win games. Or are they? I mean, are we just sitting here just continuing to think that those Chiefs that were just pretty damn good not too long ago, champs not too long ago, are going to maybe find a way yet this season to win? We don't know. But, man, the Titans really just put it to them. I mean, I was shocked. I was shocked. And to answer the Titans, I feel like I'm all for the Bills and the AFC, but I feel like the Bills have a real challenge against these damn Titans after this last week. And again, maybe this isn't the right thing to compare because the Chiefs really aren't the team they were, and they haven't been these few weeks. So maybe this spanking on them, well, a lot of people have been beating them or playing them very well, any team. So maybe it's not the greatest thing to compare them up at. You always think of the Chiefs as just being those champs, like just 2 years back, and a solid competing team, almost being there again or almost winning it again. But and to Mr. Joby on Hurts, I did play a little Hurts. I didn't play a lot of Hurts. It was more Mahomes. It was more Stafford. Yeah, I mean, just should have what.
And it makes me, one thing I've thought about kind of too with them, are they, you're naming teams like the Titans, the Bills. I would maybe even put Baltimore in that category.
Yeah.
When you think of those 3 teams, you think of a physical team, and I don't get that vibe with the Chiefs at all. And when it's cold and you need that team to, grind something out, you get that vibe from those 3 teams. The Titans are going to be a tough team to grind out a game, especially with that big running back and Derrick Henry, carrying the rock. So
and he's fast, man.
That's what I look at. And to me, they read soft as a team right now. And they have to start running the ball, whether or not they're going to get good yardage off of it, running it 6 times, even being down 27, you have to run the ball against a cover 2 to bring them safeties up. You have to manipulate the safety's eyes. And if they believe that they're going to run the ball, then you can attack deep. And with guys like Tyreek Hill, even McCole, Hardman, they've got speed that if you are a second late, they've beat you over the top.
Yeah,
so,
Tyreek's been doing his peace sign. Well, he's got the gloves with the peace now embedded. They're giving him crap for doing it. Yeah, his gloves actually have the darkened, like the peace sign.
Yeah, I saw that.
So he can have the whole hand up still, and it's like peace. Yeah. Oh man. One thing I do want to talk about too, man. How about Mr. Our boy Nate kind of touched on a little bit with like Jamar Chase and the Bengals, but how about Burrows, man?
Yo.
Man, Burrow's just looking stellar, looking stud. And you want to throw a little bit of the hobby talk in here. I remember not too long ago when this young man got hurt and was out, and we knew he was going to be back regardless. People were saying it. Everybody was talking about it. It wasn't like it was, we don't know if he'll be back. We didn't know what would happen. But in today's world with science and doctors and everything, they get back quicker, and they're usually stronger and probably better than what they were before they had surgery. But, man, Burrows looks amazing. Like, he is throwing that rock. He is kind of like popping in as the Herbert, as the Mahomes, if you will, right now. Like, the kid's got game, man.
I got a hobby question for the three of you.
Yeah.
Going forward, are you Burrow or Herbert, and why?
Ooh. Oh, that's good. That's a very good question.
What do you want to start this?
Let's start with Def. I want to hear Defness's answer.
All right.
Oh, okay.
So I will tell you guys that I was actually quite heavy on the Herbert train before the Herbert train like really blew up. I mean, when he was first starting to play good, like his first couple games or whatever, I kind of really got into it. He was kind of a side PC, if you will. And then I actually ended up just getting rid of most of my Herbert stuff, even though he continued to dominate and rock. I had a good buddy, a close friend of mine that just absolutely loves Herbert. And I had a bunch of stuff, so I gave him one hell of a deal. I had a bunch of nice autograph, like mosaics and rookie cards and all sorts of crap. He gave me. We worked out a good deal. I hooked him up. But I would say going forward, if I was to go back to it, and this isn't because I did collect Herbert at one time, it would be Burrow. I don't know, man. It's something about it. Like I want to see these Bengals be a good football team. Like. I'm a guy that likes to see teams that haven't been good or haven't been good for quite a while start being good. Like I think it's fun. I think it's exciting, right? Welcome to the jungle, baby. Over at Cincinnati Stadium, right? Like get some this dude, Burrows has just got that swag to him, right? I always look back to him winning the championship, the national championship with a cigar in his mouth. So what, sitting in the locker room with a cigar in his mouth or whatever? You know, he's just that guy, you know, he's just that dude with that swag. He's got it going on. He's got a young receiving core. And I'll tell you what, man, that Jamar Chase, for like we kind of touched on the beginning of this with being Nate's playmaker, Jamar Chase for the week. The dude, man, talking about a kid who apparently couldn't catch an NFL football because it didn't have lines on each side of the ball. I mean, the guy is making it happen. He is week in and week out making it happen. How many touchdowns does he have now? 7, 6, 7, 8?
I'm
almost
sure
one every
7.
week. I think there's like 1 week maybe he hasn't caught a touchdown.
Yeah, I think it was 7.
Yeah. 750 yards, 6 touchdowns.
Kid's got it, man. He's got it. He understands it. Like, man, and remember, T. Higgins was a monster last year.
Yep.
And he's like doing all right, but he's kind of went to the base. But you still got that threat with Higgins. You got Boyd, who is no joke. You know, I mean, I don't know. The Bengals D playing very good, but hey, no love. Yeah, defense. And again, I think we touch on this a lot, right? Defense is a big reason and a big factor. I mean, take it for Patty Mahomes, right? You having to play from behind. The whole thing, Balls just touched on. I mean, the whole thing with like having to, they're going to protect, they got to protect the pass because they know they got to throw the ball. They're not going to be able to run the ball against them. We talked about this with Stafford a little bit last week, going to LA now, having an actual defense behind him, not having to play from behind every single down or most of the game, being able to have some comfort. You know, I think that helps. That helps that improvement. But the rest of you guys got to answer that Burrow.
Balls. Burrow or Herbert?
I just to kind of touch on Burrow too. I think it's funny if we go back to the draft. All of these draft analysts were like, "Why would you take Jamar Chase? You need to protect Joe Burrow. They should have took Penny Sewell or whatever his name is." Yeah, all of us are guilty of it. But look at what happened with them. So it's kind of interesting to see it a few months later. I would still go Herbert. I kind of believe in markets, and he's got that LA market behind him right now. So the NFL loves to show bigger markets, especially when they're winning. The Bears get put on Sunday night, Thursday night football. There'll be a televised game on Thanksgiving because of the Chicago market, not because we're good. They want that Chicago market, and I think that Herbert's going to get a little bit more of that shine than you may see Burrow get, because Cincinnati doesn't even have an indoor practice facility for their team.
Isn't that crazy?
Fun fact.
Isn't that crazy? They need some GoFundMe money. They need some GoFundMe money in an indoor stadium.
Right. But I just think that matters kind of when it comes to, who's actually gonna see him. And I think the league will probably try and market him a bit harder out on that West Coast. So I would probably ride with Herbert if I'm looking to make money.
Nate, what about you?
I probably would go Herbert as well. Just like some of the things, LA market. And honestly, like I kind of like the way Herbert's positioned on the team too, because he got Keenan Allen, he got Mike Williams, got Austin Eckler, so your offense, you got weapons all over. And plus, I do like the Chargers defense as well. However, the Bengals pretty much got a similar setup. They got Jamar Chase, you got Tyler Boyd, you got T. Higgins. So you're the tight end, CJ Uzma. He's been emerging too. And then you got Joe Mixon running back, and you got an underrated defense as well. So Herbert and Burrow, they'll probably be low, pretty much neck and neck in the in hobby. But I'm gonna take Herbert slightly though.
Brady, what about you, buddy?
I think I'm going to go Burrow for a couple reasons. One, I think Herbert's market is way up there, just from what he did last year. And I think I'm assuming Burrow's is underneath him, and it's probably growing at this point. And secondly, that's going to be a playoff football team probably. So if you're looking at capitalizing in the hobby, if you want to get in on Burrow and move him around playoff time, it's if he's a long-term hold, that's one thing, but I think you have a quick flip around opportunity with Burrow that you might not have with Herbert this year.
So I'm reading through a lot of these comments. I'm going to touch on this one since we're talking Herbert and Burrow right now. It's Fester says, has moxie, that it factor, and he wants to rip your heart out. Yeah, I agree, and I think he's a little hungry, coming off that injury as well, really trying to prove something hey, I got hurt, I had to sit out, but I'm still here, boys. You're still gonna have to face me. There's at some point you're gonna have to face me, and you're right. He's going to rip your heart out. Another name I'm seeing in the chat a lot that they say we haven't brought up a lot, and we talked about him a little bit last week in the first episode of the Playmaker podcast, but it was Kyler Murray. And these guys, these Arizona Cardinals continue to play awesome. A lot of people I call them too, kind of that video game quarterback, if you will. He finds a way to escape the pocket, finds a way to not take the hit, finds a way to not get sacked, makes plays after escaping the pocket, even deep down the field, finding somebody like Hopkins or Rondell Moore is a name who I've talked about, who I felt was a sleeper coming in this year. AJ Green's been big as a veteran leadership. But man, what else do you say about the kid? He's absolutely amazing. We touched on it before. They continue they're the only undefeated team in the league. Do they have what it takes, in playoff time, if they have to face the Buccaneers to beat them? Time may just tell that this season. We'll see if it ends up getting there, or who they got to face, or if it's the Rams, or we'll just have to see how that all plays out. Daniel Jones, I see, I was a few weeks too late on Daniel Jones as far as being a quarterback play for a week. He made my thumbnail a couple weeks ago in a perfect spot and just absolutely did nothing because that's typically what happens. I kind of jinx those guys in great spots. That's another thing to touch on real quick on DFS. Guys that become very chalky that are usually somewhat cheaper in salary that are like everybody's on, most of the time just don't pan out. It's an overhype. It's whatever. If you can find a player to pivot off for close to the same price that nobody's targeting on, that's maybe not in quite as great a spot, chances are that they're probably going to go off. Because again, it's a thing in any sport. Anything can happen at any time. And that's where you got to take that risk factor. And that's how you different yourself and get leverage on the rest of the field to try to advance yourself to take down some big money and ship a big one, if you will. Murray's a smart quarterback. He's young, athletic, highly intelligent. Absolutely, Clint. I mean, he's got it all. I mean, he's showing it. And we talked about that before, how I said it's amazing his ability and what he can do for how tall he really is. Like, he's, 5'10", I think, right? 5'10" or 5'11"? I mean, most of his linemen got to be like 6'3" to 6'5" or 6'6". So by the time they stand up to block, I mean, he get it. Granted, he's going back a bit, but still, I mean, he's having to really oversee height issues as well. And for him to make it happen, I know most of you guys are laughing because I know what you guys are thinking of. You're thinking of that Kyler Murray meme right now, like where he's standing on a chair or something, where they have like the little short guy, like standing on the chair or whatever. If I had it like handy, I'd post it up or share it on the screen. But no, I mean, he's good. Yeah, Giants owned the Panthers this last weekend. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. A lot that happened in the NFL. Lamar kind of bounced back from he had a terrible week. They won last week, but he had a terrible, terrible week himself personally. I mean, they didn't do great, but I mean, overall, like putting up some numbers and whatnot, they still got spanked by those Bengals. But I mean, you put up 250 yards of TD passing, got Hollywood Brown back involved a little bit, a week or two too late, but still it didn't matter. They didn't get the win. How about the Patriots, man? Putting a spanking on those Jets. In my Sunday DFS football talk, people were like, play Jets defense, play. And I couldn't understand why, man. And I talked about Damian Harris. He had like 2 touchdowns. He had a decent game. He had 2 touchdowns. I think he had 100 and some rushing yards.
Yeah. I think like
106. 2 touchdowns. Yeah. J.J. Taylor had 2 touchdowns. He came out of nowhere, 21 rushing yards. Mac Jones threw for 307 yards and 2 TDs. I mean, that kid continues to figure it out. I think the game continues to slow down a little bit for him. So it's going to be interesting to see these teams, as the next few years kind of move on and draft picks and where they go in place and trades and et cetera, and where that kind of lands these different teams and where they come up or what they come up with as far as who they pick up. Cardinals, another defense that seems underrated. Guess we'll see when they play discount double check, right?
Yep, there's a night football. Yep.
Yeah, splitting hairs with Burrow, Herbert. They both, if they stay healthy, sound to be around a good for. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a toss-up. That's why it was a good question Brady had about who do you take, because, if you have to pick one, for some people it might be a flip of a coin, really, to kind of figure out which direction you really want to go. Do you guys think the Saints will be? Yeah, we were all on the Saints tonight.
Yep.
Even with the Seahawks 7-0 lead, we didn't have the game on earlier. We all rolled with the Saints. I don't know what the score is now. I haven't been watching the game, but I'm paying attention to this, guys. It's awesome though that we are so many good young quarterbacks. I know, man. After Peyton and Brady area, it is, guys. Like, we have an awesome group of very young quarterbacks. It's amazing. So what else do we want to touch on in the NFL, or do we want to get to topics and questions that everybody left on the last one? And again, guys, if you guys leave a topic or question, once this episode uploads, once we're done, it'll upload shortly after. Throughout the week, you can leave a topic or a question. You only get one. You can do multiples, but we can only put your name in one time, and we'll draw, and someone will win $30 PayPal or auction credit to my auction, which I'll have one again tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. But we already we'll draw it at the beginning after we do introductions each week. Yep. So do we want to go to those, or we got anything else you want to touch on the NFL?
Actually, I'll bring up one more thing.
Yeah.
Remember another quarterback from that draft of Burrow Herbert's Tua Tagovailoa with the Dolphins. Dolphins struggling. They're 1-6 right now. I know Tua been getting tons of talk, but it's kind of like what if the Dolphins took Herbert over Tua? But I know it was a lot of questions over like is Herbert really a leader? Is he too quiet? Things like that. But yeah, like there's another thing that's kind of been
And that's a good
run up a lot
question.
lately
And
too.
I think I think we don't see a lot of. I don't think we see a lot of. We don't really see a lot because we're not seeing a lot of that locker room talk. We're not seeing that in huddle really how he is. We don't get the mic'd up, so it's hard to say. Like typically your quarterback is pretty boisterous. The way the team has been playing, you would think he's kind of taken that team, as a leader. I could be wrong, but I think if they were like not doing so great and there was, there would be more of that question being brought up, like, is he truly a leader of the team? Is he truly, Tua? And then people start crapping on Tua, and then Tua goes out and has a decent game this week, right? Didn't he have a decent game, like 3 or 4 touchdowns this week?
Yeah. I think like 4 touchdowns, but he threw 2 interceptions though. He had 4 touchdowns, but he threw 2 picks.
Yeah, but he had 4 TDs. I mean, 2 turnovers isn't good, but then again, for someone who's getting crapped on, throw 4 TDs, it's all right. Can't believe Titans lost to the Jets.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, that thing, things happen. You typically can't win every game, right? And sometimes you just need a game to really make you realize, who you really are and, the motivation to really work. All right, so this is the time of the stream. We're gonna bring up our questions, topics. All right, so we're just gonna go down the list and we'll kind of talk. We'll just go in order, I guess, and we can kind of go reverse order as we go each one. So let's see. Oh, Joby's kind of replying to some things. All right, so if selected, no, never mind. I think a good point to discuss would be. Are eBay comps, so a hobby question here. Are eBay comps the end all be all when determining value on cards? First Playmaker show is a fun to listen. Thumbs up. I appreciate it, man. So the question is eBay comps kind of the here all of price validation, when you check in comps? Do you feel like eBay is that main source? Brady, I'll start with you.
I think it really depends on what type of card you're comping. Your standard, PSA 10. Let's use, for example, PSA 10 Luis Robert Chrome. I just got a couple back from PSA today. That type of card, eBay is a standard comp. When you're looking at stuff that's more, numbered and short prints and stuff like that, I think scarcity has a lot to do with it. If the last comp is a couple $100, let's say the last comp's $300, but yours is the only one listed on eBay. Or only one listed for sale, that's going to obviously be a big factor in the value of it. And I think that changes obviously from card to card, how rare a card is, what it's numbered to, if it's graded. You have some kind of consistency with grading of PSA 10s versus PSA 9s. But I do think a lot of people kind of default to eBay when they are comping cards. And I see a lot on Twitter. It's the stereotypical 25% less than eBay comps is pretty much what Twitter is. Maybe sometimes even more than that. So, and that's the one thing that anybody that does bring up, anybody that's selling a card, you will have had it happen to you. Someone will show you an eBay comp less than what you're offering. So it's just one of those things where I think it's the default in the hobby right now. Whether or not it should be is a different question, but I would say yes, that it is. It's kind of the consistent thing that everybody uses.
All right, and Nate, you got anything to add to that, or Balls?
I mean,
he hit it on the head, or what's your guys' opinions?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much like anytime I go to a card show or a trade night, everybody's on their phone looking up eBay comps. I guess the only really thing about eBay is that like if a card hasn't sold for like a long time, so you try to look for a price of a card like now, but like the last one hasn't sold since like August. That's like that could be a little bit issue, but yeah, for the most part, eBay is pretty much the standard when it comes to different prices and things like that. I know that there's like different sites that people start selling on, but I know eBay is pretty much consistent. I know some people look on PWCC as well for prices. So, but yeah, I agree with Brady that eBay's the way.
All right, Balls.
Yeah, I would just say whatever you're willing to pay or whatever you're willing to sell it for. If you're selling it, whatever somebody's willing to pay is what you could look at comps all day and your card might not sell. And like Brady said too, scarcity definitely plays a role.
Yep.
I see it with, I collect Jake Junis, and there'll be times where, his one of one, I've bought a one of one of his that was like $250 just because the guy wouldn't budge because he knew I needed it. So I was willing to pay that. Some people might not be willing to pay that. So that's kind of how I view it. I don't think it's the end all be all. I just think, I moved on from a lot of my collection. I took your advice, just price it to move it, and it sold. So
I agree.
Just price yourself to move if you really want to move it. That would be my suggestion.
My only take on this is, and I think Victor kind of hit it on the head too. I'll put this up here. He said, yes, timing is a big factor. Depends on how long comps are. So a big thing with that too is, yes, timing and also in season, out of season, right? So if we're talking like a Kyler Murray or a Tom Brady or a rookie card or something like that, if you're looking to sell it and you're selling it out of seat, like, so you gotta pick your times on when you really want to sell stuff too, right? Because you're gonna typically sell it for more unless something tragic happens or they get a bad injury or something or whatever in season. You're gonna typically sell it, or he's playing really terrible, the player is, but you're gonna sell it better in season than out of season. So you gotta kind of plant and pick around your times of selling. So if you're kind of into all sports like I am, you want to, besides being an auction guy like I am, because I don't really care what stuff sells for. It's more for having fun and getting people together and give them good deals. But on a selling aspect, if I was going out there like trying to make money and trying to hustle, like I see a lot of these young kids out there doing, which I respect the heck out of. I really do. If they can do it and if they can make it their main job and that's what they're doing, man, kudos to them, man. I have no issue with it. But if you're going to be someone and do something like that, they got to strategically know when to sell stuff, and you got to do that in season, and you really got to do it when they're on the rise if they do go on a rise, right? So think about it in that aspect. But as far as like a comp thing, yeah, I mean, I think most people, when you see people at like card shows and stuff, you always see them like go to their phone when they're looking at a card, right? And you know where they're going. They're going to probably eBay. Unless they got like Market Movers app or something like that, like they're a big dog, which I don't use or anything, and there's no plug there. I'm not affiliated with them, but I just threw it out there as another avenue that people use for comps per se, if you're talking like slab type cards. So yeah. All right.
That brings up you brought up a good point with talking about people and looking at moving stuff at the right time. It leads me to kind of a question, and you kind of gave it a little bit. Like, what is your thought process on people who buy and sell quickly and are looking to make money? So for me, for example, I will buy in opportunistic times knowing that I'm going to sell quickly. And then any profit I make, I go spend on Anthony Rizzo. I go spend on, the Cubs prospects that I like. Right. So it's part of those things where like my buying and selling in opportunistic times is to grow my PC. And I see some people, I think there's part of the hobby though that looks down upon that. And that's part of, the traditional hobby versus some of the new young people that are coming in and have a different aspect of it. But I just wanted to get some of your guys' opinion on that process in general.
So I'll touch on real quick, and I'll let them take the lead if they want after that. My big thing is I don't look or frown upon anybody on how they do. I kind of stay in my lane, if you will. I'm a guy that believes in everybody should collect and do how they want to, sell and collect how they want to. I think the way you say you do it is probably the way that I agree with the most, just in the sense of, collect what you want to collect, buy what you want to buy, and again, like I said in the beginning of this, or talking earlier when we were just talking on this whole topic, those young kids out there that you see these videos nowadays, right? And I think this is where the hobby kind of started to change. Once products started to not be available, everybody started sending in their cards to be slabbed. It started to be this big, hey, it's got to be a big showboat, big high money thing. I don't have any issue with it. I don't have any problem at all. In fact, the more the merrier in the hobby. And there's a lot of different angles. We just got to stay in whatever lane of the hobby we want to be in and just stick with it. If we get upset and mad about what other people are doing, we're doing it all wrong. Why are we even in this hobby? everybody can collect and sell and trade and buy and do whatever, however they want to do it, right? I mean, do I agree? Do I feel like it's right that everybody just goes and buys up every blaster in a store and doesn't let a kid who's maybe even standing there? I'm not saying like save them for the kids so a kid can walk in later and buy one. I'm saying like you hear these stories about people that are like buying everything up and like somebody saw a kid standing there like wanting just a box and like the person buying everything won't even let them have like a blaster. I think crap like that's wrong, right? I think who cares? You're still gonna turn around and sell these and make X amount of dollars. One less blaster or hanger or whatever is not gonna do you wrong, right? Like you're still making a ton of profit because you're gonna turn around and sell it. But just enjoy it. Like don't worry about what other people are doing. I think that's the issue with a lot of things in this world is we're so concerned about what everybody else is doing, and we get so worked up about what everybody else is doing, and it takes away from our fun and our satisfaction that we get out of the hobby, right? What's the point then? If we're gonna critique everybody else and worry about what everybody else does, it's not a hobby anymore, right? Let's enjoy it for who we are. Anybody else got a take on it?
I mean, mine's kind of the same thing. My dad always said, don't worry about another man's pockets. So, if somebody wants to make a buck off it, I got that same opportunity. I shouldn't knock it. Because, if that were my opportunity to make a little coin and put it into my PC or just make a little coin, I shouldn't have to worry about another man's pockets.
And we don't know. We don't know what these other people are doing with that money. They could be doing, Brady, the people that are doing these bigger cards or selling or flipping, they could ultimately be taking the difference in profits or whatever and actually buying for their PC, right? Like,
which is what I do.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, which there's nothing wrong with, or I don't think there's anything wrong with. Like that dude, I'm going to bring him up, and I respect the dude, that Ryan's Cards or whatever on Twitter. He blew up, and he sells a shit ton of cards, and he goes to all these card shows, and he just had his birthday and he posted a picture of like all these crazy like slabbed rookie cards and stuff, which I thought was awesome. He said, hey, I splurged a little bit for my birthday. This is what I got myself for my birthday. Who cares? Some would say bragging, whatever. Who gives a crap? Like the dude sells a ton of cards. He reinvested his money that he's been making selling this stuff, buying more cards from some other collector, some other person, big money cards for his own PC. That's awesome. That's how I feel it should be. It's awesome. I don't see any problem with it. Nate, anything on this, or we'll move on?
I guess on there we say is that like the pandemic pretty much changed the hobby because obviously probably more scared the price went up. So like I think a lot of people kind of felt like that. Like I'm starting to get priced out of the hobby, so they kind of like changed a lot of people's maybe thoughts on selling or buying and things like that. But yeah, I mean I completely agree with what you said. It's just you would want to maybe to be a collector, don't sell, then do that. You want to be more of a seller, then be that. I mean, the hobby big enough where people compete on PC who they want. They can do collect whoever they want. They can sell whoever they want. Yeah, so that pretty much is all I got to say on that.
Right. And I mean, Joe, so a couple things being said, depends on what future goals are. If you want to make money now as an income, then do the quick flip. If you want a long-term hold, then flip and income isn't an issue, then do that. And then Joe Mans has a good thing here. He says, yes, but but then I do have to pay more because someone else bought out all of the product. Well, I mean, we can look at that as an issue in a lot of different areas. I mean, right? Product like how stores, like how their process is, they're allowing people to come in and just buy everything and they're not putting limits on things when this stuff becomes popular, and they didn't start that from the get-go. Like once they figured out, wow, people are lining up for this stuff and coming in, they didn't do that right away. I don't know. I mean, you can look at it. We could debate. That's so debatable, right? But that could fall on the actual the stores. That's ultimately going to fall on the the Tops, Panini, whoever, right? How much they're sending, how much product they're sending. I know allocations, how much they're allocating to places, etc. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could see it, and I get it, man. I don't want to pay more for a blaster either, but then again, just like anything in the world, right? Prices go up. Right, it goes up on everything. Gasoline, typically these days, I don't think it ever goes down anymore. I mean, it fluctuate. I think it's always just going up a little bit, right? I mean, that's it with anything. And I know gas, and that's not a hobby, and I get that. But again, it's like I always say on a collecting side of things, like if things become unaffordable in a way you were doing at one time, we just have to adapt, right? If you can't buy that or find the product anymore, you got to take a different direction, and you got to go and just buy singles for the people you PC and the players and the cards. You can still enjoy the hobby. I know it's more fun to rip packs and open stuff and try to splurge every once in a while. Maybe get some money together, maybe sell off some cards, and then get enough money together to buy a box. You know what's cool is like hobby baseball is very reasonable so far. Mosaic Baseball, 3 autographs, a cool looking product. I know it's not licensed for baseball, but $150. Optic is always a cool product. $175 for a hobby box. I mean, that stuff is not that much different in price than what it was a year or two ago. It's not at all. It's like $20, $25 in difference. And Mosaic Baseball wasn't even around a couple years ago, and that just seems super cheap.
Yeah, I do think you see that in basketball and football more, the flipping. I think baseball people have kind of realized the flippers, as you call them, have realized that there's not much money to be made there. So pricing is more, there's more stuff on the shelves. But I do agree with you, Definition. Change the way you do your hobby if you can't afford blasters. I changed to singles because I didn't want to chase product, right? So for example, Bowman Chrome this last year, I really liked Christian Hernandez. So that's the guy I decided to just go buy singles of because I didn't feel like paying $200 for a hobby box of that. So just if you're going to have to change a little bit as the hobby changes as well, but being able to still collect who you like.
So, and here's one thing too, Huddle, and I'm not sure, Huddle, if I'm reading this correctly. It says it sucks when you see people posting crap on someone's video because they don't like the cards. Are you talking about like somebody leaves a comment, like a negative comment because they don't like the card or cards? Here's one way to combat that. If it's your channel or your video, you can hide that comment. You can remove that comment. You don't have to keep that comment posted. You can control what's shown and what's posted. So, and if somebody continues to just leave negative stuff on your thing, you can block them from leaving comments. And sure, they can go make alt accounts, but you can just keep blocking them. Don't let the negativity steer you in a different direction, and don't let it sit around and sit on your platform and your channel and whatever you do. Get rid of it, eliminate it, and don't pay attention to it. Eliminating it doesn't mean you're paying attention to it, deleting it. Paying attention to it is you bringing it up, talking about it, commenting back on it, starting a back and forth. Don't let that be a part of it. I got trapped into that like 5 years ago in the hobby, and it was the worst thing I ever did. I regret it to this day. I made a nasty video. I was with balls in a hotel. I was drunk, and I pounded a table so hard, and I just pretty much told somebody I was about to kill him, but I didn't say it in those words. But it was a nasty video, and the people who love drama like say, "Dude, that was one of your best videos you ever made." Well, I became a bigger man and knew that wasn't the thing, and I deleted that thing. I don't let negativity steer anything I do anymore, and if it comes around my way, I just simply eliminate it. Same thing with Twitter and everything else. You can mute those people, block those people, whatever. Don't even get in long debates that are negative debates or whatever that are just causing stir up. It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it. So
we have a couple other comments of people that were
yeah, we got a ton here still. So the next one is actually from our guy Balls on the panel here. What are the expectations for Zion this year? He seems to have the injury bug label attached to him due to his weight. Does he ever meet his hype?
Ooh.
Guys,
I mean,
I brought that up when he first came in. Like, his size is going to be an issue. Playing basketball, the amount of running up and down a court that someone's doing, it's very hard on a guy's ligaments. It's very hard. We can laugh and say whatever, but no matter how strong or how tough he is, that stuff causes injury. Prove me wrong, somebody. Take it.
I agree. And I think you see this Are we talking about hobby hype or are we talking about basketball?
We're talking just Zion, just general. Either way, you can use it all both because this is full out everything, right? So you can use it on any way.
I think some of these guys that have been labeled as superstar potentials will never live up to their hobby hype. Now, whether or not he can be a very, very productive basketball player and be all NBA, all star, I think he can continue to do that. But with the amount of money that I saw being sent in his way when he first came up, and you see it in baseball with Jason Dominguez, you see it, you saw it in football with some of the different quarterbacks that have come up. The hobby just has unrealistic expectations, and unless you're a Hall of Fame quarterback 3 weeks into your career, it's just not going to be at that level. For example, Wander Franco in baseball. I sold all my cards this summer when he came up because I knew the hobby was going to overreact to him struggling the first month of the year. And so I think there's a couple different different answers there depending on what aspect you're looking at. But
yeah, I think just in general, and I think most of us could probably agree, like on any player stance, like how well they perform and how well they continue on does impact how their hobby presence is, right? Because if a guy, again, you got the hype pre-hand, like you said, Wander and Dominguez, like they're not actually in the bigs yet, right?
Yep.
In baseball, yes. In most other sports, like basketball, whatever, we're not getting those guys. I mean, we're hearing about them in college, like they're seniors, juniors, whatever. They're going to now go to the draft, join the draft. We don't really have card presence for them until they are drafted or product starts coming out. So, Anyone else on Zion?
Sure. Like hobby wise, obviously the hobby is built on hype. So if any player has any kind of hype or they got a superstar potential or they're compared to like a legend, they're gonna come out of the hobby. The rookie cards gonna go for thousands of dollars, especially like they're like PSA 10 or BGS 9510. So yeah, Zion definitely had the hobby hype, but like on the court wise, it's so hard because like you see the talent, like you see him put up, he could put 25 and 12 or 25 and 13 every night, but the problem is his weight and that he's so explosive. So that combination is tough when playing a full 82 game season, then maybe a games of the playoffs. So yeah, he definitely has to get more into, I guess, basketball shape, but if he could do that, he could definitely have a long career and not be as, I guess, hurt. And then maybe like just like low management throughout the year for him as well can help him out. But
right,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, that was kind of my thought too. Was like if you look at a player like LeBron every year spends $1 million on himself, on just his body, on his training, inside, outside. He's trying to be ahead of the next step. And it's going to take something like that to really make Zion, he's always going to be bigger, but can he get to a weight where there's less strain? And can he put together 8 good years? Because if he has 8 solid years, then you're talking all right, maybe move to more of a role player as your career goes forward. You don't have to be that explosive guy.
Yep.
But he's got to start investing in his body somehow.
Right. Okay. All right. So the next one's from Victor Negron Cards. It's a question for next week. What's the biggest surprise for this week of the NBA season? ? And also best game. He just threw in this comment. Best game so far had to be the Knicks last night. This was 4 days ago. He's a big New York Knicks fan. So yeah, he threw his little Knicks love in there. But what's the biggest surprise of the first week of the NBA season? What do you think? Who wants to go first?
I think we touched on it a little bit earlier.
We did kind of.
I'll go Bulls. They're 3-0. They beat teams that they should beat. They're up 9 on Toronto right now in the 4th, and they have 11 of their next 12 games are against playoff teams in last year's postseason. So this is going to be a huge stretch for them and to kind of see what they're actually built for. So I'll go with the Bulls.
I'm going to say Chris Duarte, rookie for the Indiana Pacers. Dude's come out and just been a monster so far, dude. He's a fill-in on my DFS every week. His first night he played, he got in, I don't remember how many points he had, but he was like 3,900 on DraftKings. He smashed it. So Chris Duarte is going to be my surprise of the first week in the NBA season. Nate, what do you got, buddy?
I probably just go Warriors still. I mean,
Kind of what you touched on earlier.
yeah, because I mean, Curry's healthy, he's letting it fly again. Like I said, I mentioned Jordan Poole, another surprise guy, come out of nowhere, he's playing ball. Draymond Green's doing his thing. So yeah, like they're 3-0. So they like as long as they can like keep afloat until Klay Thompson gets back, then they should be in the. I think it could be a threat in the West potentially.
All right. So the next one is from John Doe. John Doe, who was actually our winner this week. He won the King. So congrats again. I replied to your thing here, letting you know how to get a hold of me. He said, and we touched on this beginning of the stream. How long do you think it'll take the Astros to gain back their respect and legacy? I think I'm just going to nutshell real quick. We all touched on it, right? We said, I don't think they ever really truly will until the players actually leave in free agency and go to other teams. I think we touched on that. We spent some time on that in the beginning of this podcast. So I think we're going to leave that. I mean, that we pretty much did. Next one's from Terry Paul. How do you display? Okay. He's talking hobby. So how do you display stuff? Is it handmade frames, holders, special buy from Michaels, etc., or taking another product and purposely proposing it as something it wasn't intended for? So like taking something and changing it, modifying it like furniture or something for what it wasn't for, to display stuff. I have many troubles at trying to display my collection. So do you guys have any things that you like that you've done, created, and made for displaying stuff?
I mean,
that's dope right there. Brady right there, a rainbow.
Yeah, Anthony Rizzo 2013 rainbow. It's just from Michaels, $20.
There you go.
Cards, super
Gary
easy.
P in the house.
Yep.
Throw it up on my wall.
I only have one card displayed, and it's on my work desk, and it's my Walter Payton rookie card.
Yeah, baby.
Everything else I have put up, but it's in a wooden chest my grandfather made when I was like 13 years old. I helped him make it. It was originally a gift from my sister, and she was going to get rid of it because she didn't really have the room for it. I took it, and I didn't know like what I was going to do with it, and I just decided to make it. You know, that's where my collection goes. I still put it in boxes. I have it organized in there, but most of my collection's actually put away for the most part. You know, I need to go through it and see.
Right.
What I'm
What you got in there? Hiding? Nate, what's up? You got any specialty things, or
I mean,
not really too dumb at displaying?
Yeah, if I said like pretty much me, like I just use like kind of regular card stands. Like I might put set my cards in my dresser. Like I don't really like switch up, so like I might put like some of my basketball collection on there. I might put some football. I might put some PC cards up. Just kind of like switch it up. But I may see like I seen like a lot of people do like a lot of like shelves, like that. So like they might do like some built-in shelves, put cards up, or they might have like a kind of similar like what Brady has, like an open like kind of like see-through case, or like a see-through like kind of like post things so you can see your collection. So yeah, you can go several different ways on how you want to display it. And honestly, you got an autograph picture, you get a frame for that, put it up on the wall. So yeah, you can definitely be very creative when we want to show you cards. It can be something simple like me, or you could just have a whole room, or just whatever you want.
Yeah, that's my cheap one right here. I have a full glass one with a glass door that opens, and it's got 35 cards in it. Yeah. And I've kind of expanded my collection to where if a card won't be displayed in that, I'm not buying it, because I got to the point where I'm just storing so many cards, and then in my head I'm just like they're just sitting in a box. Like I don't.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying. I have like players that if they're not on a team anymore, even like Stephon Diggs, I love the dude, right? But he's on Buffalo. Even if he's in Minnesota Vikings attire, I'm selling him off to somebody who's collecting Diggs stuff, because I have boxes beyond boxes beyond boxes beyond boxes of cards that I don't ever even go through or whatever. Right. It's like, come on, man. What's the point? Someone else will enjoy these. Like, just get rid of them for cheap in auctions. All right, guys, next thing, we're going to keep moving on here so we can get through these. We still got like 6-7 questions. So do you think Ellinger for the Colts, Colts quarterback, will see any play time now that Eason is out for the Colts? I mean, do we see him ever really kind of getting any play? Like Mr. Wentz, Wentz struggles. Do we, do we think he's a guy that takes over in Indy at some point? What's your guys' take?
I mean, like unless Wentz gets hurt this season, I really don't see Ellinger getting any playing time, or like unless the Colts.
Could he be a future for them? Do we really think he has what it takes? We haven't really seen him play enough. I mean, he played preseason, but is he that type of quarterback that could be? Do we think? I mean, the Colts thought maybe by drafting him, but
I mean, personally, I don't think so. But I'm really surprised that they got rid of Eason though. Like, cause other Eason was kind of like the guy they wanted to groom to be either the starter this year or Wentz was it going to be back in time for the beginning of the season, or maybe like a few years down the road. So that really surprised me when I saw that he got released. But yeah, I mean, like I don't think Sam Ellinger is going to be like the franchise guy, but NFL, you never know.
I'm going to default to if he went in the 6th round, there's a reason he went in the 6th round. It's a flyer. It's a guy you want as a franchise backup. That's about it. Let's remember Tom Brady's the anomaly. He's not the rule. So
right.
Yeah. I was going to say 199 out of Michigan. But,
yeah.
All right. And I think there's a trend right now in the league too. You can even see it with like the number 1 picks in the class. They're recycling quarterbacks. If you don't have it quick, teams are moving on from you. Where they're already talking about moving on from Tua, and I think he has 10, 12 career starts.
Yep.
I mean, teams are recycling players, so I don't see much for Sam Ellinger, but you never know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next, do you think the price of retail boxes went up? This is from Joe Mans. Do you think the prices of retail boxes went up because some people bought all the product during the pandemic and flipped it to 3 or 4 times for profit? Would like your guys' thoughts on this. I mean,
how long has a blaster been $20?
Forever.
Wow. When I was a kid. It's got to go up eventually. I think the companies were probably late, which is why you saw such a flip because of the demand in the hobby. So I think it's both. Can it be both? I think the flip made it happen quicker than probably companies had planned on, but they've been $20 since I was 5 years old. So they had to have gone up at some point.
Right. And almost everything else, like we talk about, price goes up on stuff, right? I've talked about this in the hobby hotline with the guys on the hobby hotline as well. We were talking about this a long time ago. They're going to go to $30. The days of $20 blasters are long gone, and they should have been long gone for a while ago, even though that was a good price. I mean, we all loved it, right? A $20 bill pretty much with a little bit of tax. We could have walked in and got a box and ripped a 4 or 5 packs or whatever it came with. So anyone else quick thought on it, or we'll keep moving on?
Well, and I just look at like Panini. They do those. I don't know if you guys have ever seen them, but those Dutch auctions they do, where it's basically like a blind bid for a lot of people. They're figuring out that top end market. They're smart. They're trying to figure those margins out and where they can make their money and still sell their product. So yeah, it only makes sense that it went up.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else?
No.
All right. I'm gonna keep going. We got a couple more here. I'm trying to reply to my daughter real quick. Here's a good one. This is from Fester. Fester coming in with the heat on the question. Who are each guest's Mount Rushmore athletes and why? What players' cards do you think are undervalued and we will see a big jump in price next year, like Vladdy and Otani's from this year? So who's your Mount Rushmores? So who's your 4 top in this active all time? Who would you say are your, for you personally? It doesn't have to be he's not asking Mount Rushmore as who do you see as the greatest player of each? Who is your, who are your main favorite, your top 4 favorite athletes of all time, any sports? You can mix them up. It could be whatever. So, and then who do you think is undervalued that you'll see jump in any sport next year, like Vladdy and Otani did this year? Anyone?
I'll go first.
All right.
So Mount Rushmore, let's do Tom Brady for me, Jordan, being a Bulls and a Michigan fan. I'm going to go Anthony Rizzo for my third. He's my all-time favorite player. Obviously, helped break the Cubs dynasty. And my fourth is going to be Kurt Warner. That was my favorite player growing up. Christian, and just awesome dude. The story is awesome. He's got a movie coming out here in the next couple months about his story from bagging groceries to NFL MVP in under 2 years. So those are my just favorite players. In regards to who we're going to see jump in the hobby, if you got some cash, throw some money on Bobby Witt Jr. And it's specifically because he's going to be up in the majors next year, and you're going to see that Wander jump that Wander had this year. MLB offseason, so over the next couple of months, if you want to pick up some of his cards, you're going to see an increase in his prices going into next season.
Okay.
Let's see. For my Rushmore, I got to put Allen Iverson on there. He's my favorite athlete of all time, so definitely my guy. I got to put Brian Dawkins on there. Trying to see who the other two would be. I probably put Larry Fitzgerald on there, like non-favorite team wise. I love Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
And then number 4, I'm trying to see. I might just put like Jimmy Rollins on there because he's one of my favorite Phillies players. So I probably put that'd be my Rushmore. Cars that are undervalued and that could spike in price. I probably say maybe like look for like some like players that are like out maybe like right now for like the NBA or like NFL because normally when the player gets hurt, normally the price does drop for a quick bit. So maybe let's think of like a Zion might be a little bit cheaper, or maybe like a trying to see who else might be out right now that maybe do like that. Or like I said, you maybe get some baseball. Some guys that are like close to like get to the majors, like investing them now before they get that hype when they actually reach the majors. So I might go with that.
Yeah. Balls.
My 4 would be Walter Payton, Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson, and Tiger Woods.
Ooh,
I think those would be my 4 that I would take. Just because, man, I remember watching Tiger being young with my uncle. My uncle loved golf. I wasn't a big fan of it, but I remember just the crowds and the excitement with him putting. So, and then Tyson, if you get a chance, go on YouTube, watch just Tyson uppercut videos. He was the best. And I don't have to explain with the other two.
You always have a play until you get punched in the mouth.
And I was kind of thinking, you always talked about LeBron being one of those guys that if you want to get in now, and I've kind of looked back at some of the quarterbacks too. A guy like Aaron Rodgers, his card right now might be his rookie card might be the cheapest you might be able to get it at.
Yeah.
If I were to see it jump in anybody, I think Devin Booker is probably primed to win an MVP at some point in his career. So I think I think his floor is probably, there already, but I think his ceiling is probably a lot higher still to go in the hobby. So I think Devin Booker would probably be a little bit of a longer hold, but I could see him being an MVP one day.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap this one up here with the Mount Rushmores first. So first one's gonna be my man Kirby Puckett, childhood big fan of mine. I got to watch those World Series games. That Game 6 will be a memorable one that I'll carry to my grave, with the whole story behind it, them being down, him walking into the locker room against those Braves and saying, "What's up, guys?" and everybody being down, and him saying, "Come on, man, jump on my back. I'll take you guys," and hitting that home run to bring him into Game 7. Just absolutely amazing. And just his whole, I've read his book, his childhood growing up, south side of Chicago. His mom making him carry, they lived up on like the 30th floor in a cheap, whatever apartment, whatever. And his mom would make him carry all the groceries up, like all those flights of stairs. He didn't take an elevator or anything. just the hustle, just a little pudgy kid out of the south side of Chicago that made it in the bigs and had a solid career, man. Ripped to Puckett, man. He's gone way too early. And then the next one is going to be I'm going to try to represent each as many of the sports as I can, and it's going to be mostly Minnesota. But Chris Carter, Vikings. Him being his story and him being an alcoholic and being addicted to cocaine and him as being a drug addict and an alcoholic, and to be able to change his life, and then not only change his life but be such a mentor for so many young players now that are coming up and players that struggle as well with some of that stuff.
Yep.
Just solidified the tiptoe two-toe sideline catch that you see so often nowadays. He's the one that really perfected that and kind of created that, if you will, to perfection. Another guy is going to be out of the NBA, and I'm glad he got to win a championship in Boston. But Kevin Garnett, another guy that I got to watch growing up, that just to hustle the big ticket, right? The big ticket, the youngest kid drafted in the NBA, and just to come in, and I actually had the opportunity to go to a Lakers Wolves playoff game when he was here. When we won one game, and he jumped up on I remember him jumping up on the table and just going crazy. I mean, just another dude, man. It's too bad that his relationship with Flip Saunders is not Flip. He had a great relationship with Flip. Rest in peace, Flip. With what's his nuts, Taylor, the owner, where they won't retire his jersey, or he doesn't want to be retired here until Glenn Taylor's gone. But he'll eventually his jersey will eventually get retired in Minnesota, where it should be. And last but not least, I'm going to say, and I'm going to keep it Minnesota, baby, straight cash homie, Randy Moss.
Oh, yes.
Another kid coming out of that Marshall University. What up, man? He's brought so many memorable moments in the NFL, and to see him get solidified in the Hall of Fame already is just amazing, man. Like, he is just on a different level, just a different planet, just exciting player to watch. So they all have like different meanings and stories behind them that kind of touch and kind of stay close to me. And I think as you guys always continue to hear my story and my venture as I share it on my channel, I always try to take a lot, and I always try to learn from a lot of other people, and I always try to use some of that in my own life. And like I said, like people like Chris Carter and stuff, like just his story and where he came from and what he overcame, and to have a type of career he did, and now the impact he has on young kids is just awesome. I'm going to touch on a little bit of the undervalue quick, and then we'll move on. Man, I think there's a lot of, and it depends on what you rate as undervalued, right? Because like you say, Aaron Rodgers, and I think Aaron Rodgers is undervalued. I think Balls brings up a good point, but Bobby Witt's a great prospect in baseball. I look at guys like Jason Tatum, and yes, his cards are not cheap, but that's just because basketball cards in general are not cheap. And it really depends on where you see undervalue, but I really feel like Jason Tatum, as long as he can stay healthy, and again, you're taking a high risk on a lot of these younger guys, but if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be one of those top NBA players. I think you're going to see, I think he's going to fill the stat lines. I think he's going to be up in there in a lot of the leaderboards when it's all said and done. And I think there's still an opportunity there on somebody like him. Football wise, everybody's always going after the quarterbacks, right? But I think if this hobby continues to move in the direction it is, and hopefully it will as we continue to hopefully get more and more people into it, I think you're going to see those values and interests of some of those other positional players increase. So I think taking some stabs and going after some of those receivers and running backs that are going to probably be Hall of Famers, some of those young guys that have the possibility to be some of the greatest ever. I mean, it's a long shot, right? But where do we stand with undervalue, and what what's the guideline or what's the barrier that we're really looking at undervalued? I mean, that's a loaded question, and I think it's a good one. So Fester, a great one, man. Mount Rushmore was great. That was great. Let's move on. Where does Cam Newton land? Does Pitts pick up where he left off and have another breakout game? Well,
he did.
Obviously already passed. He did. You got to answer that. But where does Cam Newton land?
Nowhere this year is my guess.
Nowhere? All right.
I don't think this year. I think for the rest of the season, you saw the Jets just traded for Joe Flacco. So, you have Nick Foles out there as a quarterback that the team could go look and try to get. I don't know if a team that's this far into a season is going to take a flyer on a guy like Cam Newton with some other guys that are out there.
All right. Anyone else have anything to add to that real quick?
Unless you're like a heavy running team, you would have to have Cam fit your system. So maybe a team like Baltimore, God forbid something happened to Kyler Murray. I don't even know who Arizona's backup is. Maybe a team like that might take a stab to try and save a season if something were to happen. But I'm with Brady. I think it's crazy. He's a guy that lost his job because he wasn't vaccinated. But, that's kind of – the Bears ran into that this weekend. They lost their tackle before the game, and their starting quarterback didn't know about it. So, yeah, I don't see Cam being on a team this year.
Anyone else? Nate, we pretty much touched. We're good.
Yep.
All right. Who are your favorite? Now, this is probably something I should be responding or we should be checking because, again, this is already after the week. The football game's already started. But who are your favorite backup running back targets this week with so many starters hurt? I should have replied to that. But this is one that I touched on Sunday morning. And it wasn't for a hurt running back. Remember, we talked about that running back possible controversy with the new head coaches in Las Vegas and whatever. And unfortunately, Jacobs got hurt. He was having a decent game, but Jacobs ends up getting hurt. Drake ends up taking over again and ends up having another decent week. So be just probably more because of Jacobs got hurt. But Williams, who crapped the bed for KC because their whole team did. That was really kind of where I was. Devontae Freeman, who got in the end zone, I talked about Sunday morning. Here's the next one. Who you starting a NFL franchise with that isn't a quarterback? Brady starts.
I'm going with Aaron Donald.
Jonathan's. What's that?
Aaron Donald. He makes everybody else around him so much better. It's just ridiculous.
I like it. All right. Nate?
This is a question. I might go another Rams player. I'm gonna go Jalen Ramsey. I'm gonna try to get that shutdown corner, get that elite corner to start my team. So yeah, I'm gonna go Jalen Ramsey.
Veteran leadership.
Yep,
if you will. Balls.
Well, I would have went with Aaron Donald, but for the sake of changing it up, give me Patty Mahomes. No matter how bad he's struggling.
Not a quarterback.
Not a quarterback. Not a quarterback. Derrick Henry right now. He's so hot right now that I'll take the running back. Give me the physical ground game.
That was a good one. Like that.
Do I go defense? Do I find a receiver? Where do I land? Where do I stand? I'm going to go with another Rams guy, Mr. Cooper Kupp, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Take my receiver. The guy that doesn't drop balls. Catches everything. That's why I'm going to do that. All right. Last one. Who wins MVP this year? I would assume in NFL. Who wins the MVP? Last question. And we're wrapping it up. 2 hours, guys. Good podcast. Great podcast tonight.
Tom Brady.
That's my answer as well. Tom Brady wins MVP.
Nate?
So, the first name that came to mind for me was Kyler Murray. That was the first name that came to mind for me. But I'm like, I'm still Kyler Murray. I'm going Kyler Murray. MVP, different name, hot name, rookie. They might, I mean, not rookie, but younger player. So, the NFL might try to, raise them up and, get good MVP as long as the Cardinals continue to win.
So I'm going to also take Kyler Murray. So we're going to be tied to Brady and Murray. I'm going to just say, I don't know, man.
Go ahead, come back to this podcast.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Cam's going to be joining our podcast next week. He ain't playing for nobody. Cam Newton's going to be on next week's episode. Just stay tuned. All right, guys. Hey, man. I'm going to give final thoughts, and then I'll close it out here. So, guys, go ahead. Final thoughts. Brady?
Well, I was hoping to be able to announce that the Bulls were 4-0, but they can't seem to hold the lead against Toronto. So we'll see how that game goes. Vooch just missed a free throw as well. But no, I think we got a lot going on in the sports world. I'm really excited for college football this week, obviously being a big Michigan fan. So I'll be tuned in on Saturday morning for that. And, hopefully the Bears can get a win next week against the lowly 49ers. So.
All right. Nate? Any closing comments or anything? If you got nothing, you can defer.
We got game 1 of the World Series tomorrow, so definitely gonna be looking for that. See how that goes, and then like I said, we're just doing good things with like NFL, college, football, basketball. So we're in a good sports mode right now. So I'll just good for that. So that's what I got.
Happy we got a lot going on. All right, Balls.
If I were to say anything, it would just be that do something positive for somebody else, whether it's hold the door, thank somebody, do something positive each day till next Monday. Then you'll come back with 7 good things that you did for somebody else. So do something positive.
A simple hi or hello, and you walk by somebody you don't know. I mean, it could change something, It could make somebody's damn day, to be honest with you. Like some people don't have anybody say anything to them all damn day. So, that's just it. And sometimes, when you're out and about, you say something to somebody and somebody like acknowledges you back or starts saying something. Maybe just if you got a minute or two, stop and listen to them, because again, you never know if they have nobody really that ever listens to them at all. I mean, you don't need to be their saving prayer, but again, like there's a lot of people going through a lot in today's world, and the more positivity, like Ball says, we can bring to it, the better it'll be. And again, I want to thank all you guys for spending your time. I want to thank everybody who watched, who hung out the whole night, or who popped in. I want to thank the guests as well. If you guys put in the time to do this again another week, we'll be back again next week. Hopefully we can get some people. I have a lot of the people that have said they're interested. It just got to work out with their schedule on whatever week or week. So hopefully we'll have another body or two next week to join us, and we'll get some more thoughts and whatever. But we always have different things to talk about within the sports world, hobby, and DFS. And don't forget, guys, when this video uploads tonight, throughout the week, leave a topic or comment, because we're going to do them at the end of the show, and then we're going to pick the winner in the beginning of the new podcast next Monday. And we will be back next Monday at 7 p.m. There will be an auction tomorrow night at about 6:30 right here. So we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Be good. Peace.